This week on Edmunds Live, it's something a little different, something special. We are joined by most of our testing team, so it's going to be a little geeky. So we have our engineers, Dan Edmunds, no relation to the website, Jay Kavanaugh, and then two of our test drivers, Josh Jaco and Mike Monticello. And with you guys here, I think it's a perfect opportunity to talk about our Corvette versus the World comparison series. You guys drove it on the track at Willow Springs, and Jay, you did the dyno test of the Corvette. And we have our GT500 test that just went this week that Dan wrote. And I thought, let's see, Josh, you were the first person to drive the Corvette at Milford. After all the comparisons and all the seat time, are you still impressed with the Corvette as you were back in Detroit?
Absolutely. That car is just a real driver's car. It's won 5 of the 6 comparison tests that we've published so far, and I think our initial impressions were right on with it.
Now, Dan, what did you did the GT500?
Right.
What's your take on all of them?
I echo just about everything he said. Compared to the GT500, it was down 202 horsepower, 166 pound-feet of torque. That's like a whole Scion FRS that it was missing from under the hood. And it's just got so much poise, so much more chassis and sophistication. It won it going away. It's really a nice car. It's the first Corvette that I've really looked at and said, yeah, I kind of want one of those.
Now, let's talk about some of the differences in all of these cars, because obviously it was a cornucopia of different types of sport coupes and dedicated sports cars. Now, one of the differences you were talking about was launch control, all the differences in all the cars.
Yeah, well, we're seeing more and more launch controls these days. It used to be mostly just the paddle shift gearboxes, Porsche PDKs, Nissan GTR, but now we're seeing launch control with manual transmission cars. So there's launch control in the Corvette, in the Viper, in the Mustang GT500, in the Camaro Z01. It wasn't in this test, but we've got all these manual transmission cars. But interestingly, all of those cars except one, the GT500, we can still beat the launch control. GT500, we were a few tenths slower.
We meaning you two.
Yeah.
a couple of different tests over a year, but yeah, that car's got so much power. It's just super easy to overwhelm the grip.
Yeah, not enough rear tire.
Right.
But what's interesting about them is that they're not all created equal. For instance, the GTR is very finicky. It's very heat sensitive. So we've had tests where maybe we do get in 3 or 5 runs and it doesn't want to do any more launch control.
Right.
Porsche GT500, still same thing. Even with a manual transmission, you can do the launch control all day. Porsche PDK, Dan, you could talk about the turbo. Just keep going and going.
I was just in Germany a couple of weeks ago with a new Turbo S, and basically we just kept doing launches over and over until we got bored. The car never complained. And the Turbo S proves that you just put that much more power and torque behind that transmission, and it still doesn't care.
Best twin clutch system in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I said it.
There it is. I heard it.
Well, on that, let's go to our lightning round, guys. Jay, start with you. How awesome was Rush, the movie, not the band? Although the band's awesome too.
Well, I'm not so much into the band, but
Getty
the movie, yeah, I went to it honestly with no expectations because I didn't want to get riled up by all the hype. And I thought he did a really, really nice job of balancing making an appealing Hollywood movie to those that just want to see a movie that aren't race fans, and having legit race footage and conveying that experience and the emotions. So I think it's something that motorsports fans can be proud of and will enjoy. I certainly enjoyed it. I thought it was really great.
Mike, of all the cars you've driven at our track this year, what has been your favorite?
Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van. I'm kidding. No, honestly, for me, the 2014 Porsche Cayman S with the 6-speed manual, that car just does everything right.
And Dan, let's do something a little different here. Let's say I gave you $40,000. You don't have to spend it all, but what would you buy?
Ooh. I think what I'd have to do is buy a car I really like but can't afford new. I think I can get a 2-year-old C63 AMG for just under 40 grand.
I think you can.
That's
I didn't
cool.
think you going used. Always a good suggestion. Now let's go to our social media minute. Let's bring in Claire on Skype.
Hi, so Nima O asked on Google+, how close is Cadillac getting to winning comparisons with the ATS and ZTS against Euro Japanese rivals.
Well, Jay, you just drove the CTS V Sport. What do you think?
Well, I only drove the CTS V Sport on the track, where it was really good. I mean, the car is super capable. It's fast. It's taut. Compared to what's supposed to be its competition on the European side, the BMW 550i, I think I'd go with CTS V Sport. But again, that was only on the track. I haven't driven on the street yet. So
I mean, they're getting close. They handle fantastic. They just don't quite have everything there yet.
Yeah. So, okay, Claire, what else do you have?
We got this question from James S. on Facebook. He asks, can the editors explain a CVT transmission?
Jay?
CVTs, I think the easiest way to think of what a CVT is, or to understand what a CVT is to think about what a conventional gearbox does when you drive it, where it has discrete ratios, where revs come up, they drop, they rise, they drop, they rise, they drop. CVT basically is continuously varying the ratio, hence the name CVT, so that it doesn't have stepped gear ratios. The downside of the CVT is it's harder to get the drivability to feel natural, where the stepped gearbox, which is what everybody's used to, it's familiar. A CVT feels a little bit more rubber bandy typically. Revs will just come up.
It
Sounds like you're
sounds
stuck in
that
first
way.
gear.
And then the gear ratio changes to keep the revs
like
there
CVT
while you're
fast.
accelerating. Kind of a weird experience, but it is more efficient. It allows the engine to operate more efficiently than it would otherwise with a conventional gearbox. However, the gearbox efficiency of the CVT is not as good as a conventional transmission. So you give up a little bit on the transmission side, but you more than make up for it on the engine side, is the idea.
All right. Claire?
So I got this question on YouTube. Guillermo Ramirez asked, hey, I wanted to know what your first cars were. And if you could, would you buy it back?
My first car was a 2000 VW Jetta VR6, and simply for nostalgia reasons, absolutely I'd buy it back. I'd love it to be collecting dust down in the Edmunds garage.
Ooh, my first car was a 1969 Ford Ranchero.
Hey.
Yeah. And, you know, I've thought about buying something. I don't think I could buy mine back because I kind of used it up. But, you know, I thought about getting another one like it because, you know, it could hold a motorcycle or a go-kart, and it's still a car. You know, there's no compact trucks anymore, and I kind of like the utes that I saw in Australia, and that's what that is.
Nice. Jay?
First car was a 1982 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme that I
Nice.
bought. I bought it for $80.
Oh,
Okay. So do I want to buy it back? Hell yes, so I can burn it to the ground,
imagine how cheap it would be today.
right?
My first car was a 1971 Opel GT.
Oh, cool.
And, well, I don't know if it's cool or not,
Oh, cooler than a Cutlass.
but I still own
Or a
it.
Ranchero.
So I don't have to buy it back.
Nice.
And it's paid off, is it?
It is paid off. It was paid off then.
1985 Toyota Supra, the second gen car. So, I mean, we're talking inline six, 5-speed manual, rear wheel drive, great sports seats. I love that car.
The
But
sunshade over the back window.
well, the later cars didn't have that. They had just a very small thing, not that weird spoiler thing there.
Cork alert.
And I wouldn't buy that car back because it was rusting, but I would buy a second gen if I could find one that wasn't rusting.
So there you go. Thanks a lot, Claire.
Yeah, and if you guys have questions for our editors, make sure to follow Edmunds on Twitter, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and post your comments there. Thanks.
Thanks, Claire. That's it for Edmunds Live. Thanks a lot, guys.